The Taliban has threatened to attack any U.S. troops that remain in Afghanistan after May 1st. The Taliban announced in a statement, "If, God forbid, all foreign troops do not withdraw from Afghanistan on the specified date in line with the Doha Agreement, undoubtedly it will be considered a violation of the accord by America for which it shall be held liable and which shall also harm its international standing." This comes after President Biden told reporters that it's going to be hard to meet the May 1 deadline. But he committed to withdrawing all U.S. troops from Afghanistan during his administration. Biden said at a White House press conference, "It's not my intention to stay there for a long time." China's Shenyang Aircraft Company has revealed that it expects to make further progress on its new 5th-generation stealth fighter program over the coming year. Viewers may note that the company is one of the 2 largest producers of fighters in China, other being Chengdu Aircraft Industry Group. It currently produces the J-16, 4+ generation heavyweight fighter for the Air Force, and the J-15, which is based on the same airframe for the Navy. While Chengdu Heavyweight J-20 5th-generation stealth fighter is already being deployed by China's People's Liberation Army Air Force, Shenyang's fighter will likely be developed into a lighter and cheaper aircraft. This video is sponsored by the free-to-play military vehicle combat game War Thunder. We talk a lot about military vehicles on this channel, but what about trying them out for yourself? In War Thunder, you can choose from more than 1,200 playable vehicles from the 1930s to the 1990s and go to battle on more than 80 theaters of war. You can fly aircraft, helicopters, drive tanks, and command ships of all types and sizes, which have been carefully recreated from their real-world counterparts. It's available as a free download on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One with cross-platform support. So grab your friends and give it a try. All viewers of Defense Updates that register using the link in the description below will also get a free premium tank, aircraft, or ship, and 3 days of premium account time as a bonus. A number of images have emerged that seem to be showing the Russian military deploying armor and artillery units into Crimea and near its borders with Ukraine. This includes T-90 battle tanks, BMP-3 infantry fighting vehicles, and Mista-S 152mm self-propelled artillery pieces. Also, there are reports that some new combat aircraft have been deployed to Crimea. It's to be noted that Crimea is already one of the most well-defended areas and has multiple S-400 air defense systems, combat aircraft such as Su-30 and Su-24M jets, as well as Iskander hypersonic ballistic missiles and Bastion anti-ship defense systems. The addition of more military hardware has heightened tensions, and a new round of hostilities may be around the corner. Three additional Rafale fighter jets landed on Indian soil after a direct ferry from Istres Air Base in France. Rafales were refueled in flight by UAE Air Force tankers. This marks yet another milestone in the strong relationship between the two air forces. Thank you, UAE AF, the Indian Air Force said in a statement. IAF has now inducted 15 Rafales out of the ordered 36. Nearly $8 billion, or 59,000 Indian rupees crore contract, for which was signed in 2016. The first batch of 5 Rafale jets arrived in India on the 29th of July, 2020. All the remaining jets are expected to be delivered to the Indian Air Force by the end of 2022. Rafale jets, manufactured by French aerospace major Dassault Aviation, are India's first major acquisition of fighter planes in 23 years after the Sukhoi jets were imported from Russia. Naval group Chanters de Lantique and Technic Atome have teamed up to build the French Navy's new generation aircraft carrier. Florence Parly, the French Minister of Defense, inaugurated the design platform for the aircraft carrier in Lorient. She announced the notification of the Avant Projet Sommaire Brief Preliminary Design contract. The minister also attended the signing by the CEO of Naval Group and the general manager of Chanters de Lantique to create a joint company dedicated to the PANG, Aircraft Carrier New Generation program. France is only among a few countries that are capable of indigenously building an aircraft carrier. Australia is working with the United States to build its own guided missiles under a $1 billion Australian dollar, about 761 million American dollars, 10-year-long project. Prime Minister Scott Morrison said while launching the project on Wednesday, "Creating our own sovereign capability on Australian soil is essential to keep Australians safe. It's been decades since the country last manufactured advanced missiles, and it currently relies on importing them from allies, including the United States." The deal is under their 15-year Southern Cross Integrated Flight Research Experiment (SciFire) program, which studies hypersonic scramjets, rocket motors, sensors, and advanced manufacturing materials. Viewers may note, in order to gain an edge in the hypersonic weapons development race, the U.S. has opened this program to its allies. General Atomics has won the United Kingdom's MQ9 drone contract worth $13 million. A U.S. DoD release stated, "General Atomics Aeronautical Systems, Inc. has been awarded a $12.9 million contract for the United Kingdom MQ9 Second Operating Location Alternative Reaper, Solar." The MQ9 Reaper is a remotely piloted, medium-altitude, long-endurance, MALE aircraft designed for intelligence, surveillance, target acquisition and reconnaissance (ISTAR), and attack missions. Production of one MQ9 Reaper Block 1 Lynx Synthetic Aperture Radar, Embedded Global Positioning System Inertial Navigation System, and the United Kingdom specific modifications will be performed in the U.S. and is expected to be completed by July 1, 2021. Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida, which was devastated by Hurricane Michael in 2018, is set to host a significant number of U.S. Air Force's F-35A Joint Strike Fighter. As per reports, it will receive 3 new squadrons of stealth fighters in the coming years. The advantages offered by the base, located on the Gulf of Mexico and the Florida Panhandle, include infrastructure capability, quality of life for airmen, and airspace, according to an official release from the service. Air Force Colonel Greg Mosley, the 325th's commander, stated, "Adding F-35 squadrons at Tyndall ensures airmen will continue to have a strategic advantage as the 325th Fighter Wing enhances fighter training and combat readiness." Chinese Communist Party mouthpiece Global Times has stated, "Philippine fighter aircraft flying over Chinese fishing boats taking shelter from the weather near a Chinese reef in the Southern Sea are inappropriate and might inflame tensions and risk accidents." However, the Philippines has said the so-called fishing boats are trespassing in seas within Manila's Exclusive Economic Zone (EEZ). It's been sending light fighters, probably the South Korean-made FA-50s, to oversee hundreds of Chinese vessels. The Chinese embassy in the Philippines said in a statement on March 22 that the reef is part of China's Nansha Islands and Chinese fishing vessels have been fishing in its adjacent waters for many years. It's been a normal practice for Chinese fishing vessels to take shelter under such circumstances. There is no Chinese maritime militia, as alleged. Any speculation in such matters helps nothing but causes unnecessary irritation. It's hoped that the situation could be handled in an objective and rational manner. Russia is making preparations to test its Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missile (ICBM). The ICBM is touted to be the most powerful in the world. Right now, the main work to be done in the near future is preparing for flight tests of Sarmat Heavy ICBM. Dmitry Rogozin, head of Roscosmos, said during his speech at Korolyevsky in Moscow. The RS-28 Sarmat, also referred to as Satan II, is a silo-based system with a heavy liquid propellant intercontinental ballistic missile. It's been in the process of its development since the 2000s to replace the R-36M2 Voyevoda or Satan ICBM. It weighs about 200 tons and has a payload capacity of around 10 tons. Sarmat is thought to have a range of 18,000 kilometers or 11,000 miles. According to Russian media, Sarmat can reportedly load up to 15 warheads or an unspecified number of avant-garde hypersonic boost glide vehicles. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.